This 10-piece gift set of Bendums toys was released by Just Toys in 1994, and I got mine much later than that, just a few years ago, with the intention of doing some kind of video about it. At this point, to be honest with you, I'm not even totally sure what I had planned for this. I think there was some kind of like retrospective I had in mind, but never quite got into doing that. Honestly, there's probably better ones already available on YouTube that you could look at if you're interested in the history of this. But I did want to finally open this up, see what they look like, and sort of compare them to modern figures, and think about what it might have been like to be a collector back in 1994. It was a very different world back then, you have to remember. This is before the prequels had really started. I don't even know if they had rumblings of the prequels at that point or not. Definitely didn't have much in the way of concrete information, I don't think, in 94. And it was well after Kenner had stopped producing Star Wars toys, so there was kind of a drought for Star Wars collectibles at that point. And I've heard from people who were collecting at the time that these Bendums, which was part of a much larger line of just bendable toys that Just Toys had put out, these Star Wars Bend-ems were kind of pretty positively received for that reason. People were desperate for anything to collect, I think, at that point. Those Star Wars collectors that were still hanging on. So, as you can see, we got 10 figures. These look to be, I haven't actually measured these, but they look to be about 6 or so inches tall, so larger than a traditional Star Wars figure. And they're made of rubber, as we will see. It says bendable, collectible, posable. And down here in the bottom, you can see it says that this is the collector's edition number A009908. Kind of amazing that they thought it was necessary to number all of these like that, or to have so many digits in the serial number there too. But yeah, I guess they're really trying to appeal to people's collector instincts. Similarly, they had some collector cards that they included, and apparently a limited edition collectible solid brass coin, although I think it would have gone right here. I don't know where that is. It may have fallen elsewhere in the packaging. We'll have to see when we open it up. But before we do that, I did want to look at the back of the package as well. We have kind of a publicity shot here showing the figures with a Darth Vader carrying case, and I'm actually not sure if this is just a straight-up re-release of the Kenner version or not. I mean, I would think these figures would have been too big to fit in the regular Kenner case, but I'm not totally sure. There's also an offer here where you can join the Star Wars fan club and keep up with all of the Star Wars and Indiana Jones news and merchandise and so forth, as well as a special Star Wars trading card offer from Topps. All right, so what I want to do today, as I mentioned, is first of all, just finally open this thing up after however many years it's been that I've had it. And let's just see what these guys look like, huh? The tape is just barely hanging on. It's kind of mummified, desiccated. So you can literally just slide them all out here, and they're still kind of, attached to the cardboard backing there. I'm looking to see where that coin went. I don't know, unless it's underneath, it may be underneath the cards or something, but we'll have to see about that. This is not in the best of shape. It's all dusty and kind of dirty and wrinkled and so forth, so I don't feel too bad about opening this, to be honest with you. I got it for a very good price. Don't remember what it was, but it was, very little. So let's go ahead and get these guys out of here. Aha! There is the coin. It's got a TIE Fighter. I don't know if these are all the same, or people got different ones. Pretty cool, though. It's a nice feeling coin. So I've taken all of the figures from the gift set out and stood them up on their own as best I could. Some of them are quite easy to stand up, like the Emperor's Royal Guard over there, because he doesn't have any feet or legs, really. But Leia and a couple of the other ones were quite difficult to get to stand up. I had to lean Leia up against R2 there just to get her to stand up at all. But anyway, I thought we'd take a look at these individually. I've left their hands and arms posed the way they were in the package just so we can appreciate the incredibly realistic posing that they gave us. So, for example, we have Bib Fortuna here, apparently doing the robot. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. Although, you know, to be fair, you really can't do much with this kind of figure. They are made of solid blocks of rubber with some wires in them, at least, you know, for the posable extremities like arms and legs in some cases. And you can kind of bend them into position like that, but that's about as good as you can get, right? There's not like detailed poses you can get out of these guys, and if you try and kind of shove it down, you know, it'll just go back up like that. So yeah, there's a limited repertoire of poses that you can get from this. I think aside from the posing issue, though, this is a pretty good Bib Fortuna, in all honesty. The face sculpt is not bad at all, and the paint work is fine, I would say, too. I feel like these should have been just sort of static rubber figures instead of posable ones. That way they could have made the arms be in more realistic poses, but of course that would go against the whole Bendums philosophy, I guess, of being bendable figures. So if we look at Luke, he's the only one of these guys who has an accessory. He comes with his lightsaber there in his hand. he's got it a little bit bendy there, Luke. You may want to see a doctor about that. But yeah, I mean, well, that's an interesting face sculpt and paint work there. I mean, I guess it kind of looks like Luke with a mullet. But interesting that they went with such a dark color too. He's wearing khaki colored clothes instead of the basically white ones that we kind of associate with Farm Boy Luke. We've got another figure doing the robot here, was the Emperor's Royal Guard, who's a hefty chunk of rubber, this guy. Solid. But, yeah, I mean, you can do that if you want. Now, if we look in the back, we have Admiral Akbar. And again, nice sculpt. This is perfectly fine, I think, and to a degree, if you can figure out a way to get his arms to not look ridiculous, you know, just have him down on his side like that, it looks all right. You could have that on a shelf and it wouldn't look bad at all, I think. Nice paint work as well. Limited, but nice. And here we have Darth Vader. So, I don't know, he seems to be acting like a maitre d'. This way to your table, sir, is the vibe I'm getting. This is the only one that included some sort of soft goods for his cape. This is some kind of a polyester kind of material. Let's see if we can get him to look a little better. Yeah, that's not terrible, I guess. One problem, too, is that, you know, a lot of them, you can't really change the orientation of their hands, so they have this sort of palm out pose all the time, which looks a little strange. We have, I'm just going to let these guys fall where they may. We have Chewbacca here. Now this is quite a special one. There we are. I mean, look at that guy. That is a hilarious face. I love it. He seems like he's got his arm around... Well, actually, you know what? He looks like he's got his arm around his best friend. Kind of do that. Looks like he's had a few too many. And Han is helping him home, maybe, singing a little song. But yeah, I really do... I really do like that face. He seems quite happy in any case. And of course Han. Now this is something quite extraordinary. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but his hair is gigantic. We talk about Big Head Han in the classic Kenner lineup, but I don't know if we've ever had a big hair Han. Look at that. Otherwise, yeah, it's still pretty bad. Honestly, it's looking better in the camera than in real life. He looks very derpy with too small of a face in real life to me, but I don't know, let me know what you think. We've got 3 more, well actually 4 more I'm going to show you. 3 more from this set and then 1 extra. We have Leia looking enchanting with, yes, kind of a wonky eye and extremely white compared to the tan of Han Solo here. That's kind of interesting as well. But that is, you know, quite a natural pose for Leia, you'll have to admit. The only one where the pose doesn't really seem to matter at all is R2-D2 here, although I guess you can kind of move these legs backward like that. So yeah, he can just stand normally as R2 would. More or less looks like a normal R2 figure. And finally, we have the Stormtrooper, who also seems to be saying, like, come this way, sir. In fact, we can have him work with Darth Vader. Right this way. Your table is this way, sir. Anyway, not the greatest figures in the world, you'll have to admit. But I can imagine, or I can kind of empathize with the collectors at the time and how they might have been desperate to get anything. So, you know, it's not surprising that these did somewhat well at the time, I guess. Now, there was one other one I wanted to show you, and that is this, the Gamorrean Guard, which is not included in the gift set, but I did get him separately. Actually, before we do that, though, let's look at these cards, because I neglected to show you those. You get, let's see, 5 cards. I don't know if everybody got the same cards, probably. Got one here with Bib Fortuna, Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, Chewbacca, and some snowtroopers for some reason. These seem to be kind of just random cards, though, so I don't know. Maybe everyone got different ones. Not sure. But yeah, so we've got the old Gamorrean Guard, and I'd like to finally open this up. I've had this for quite a while with the intention of making a video about it, and so it's just been sitting here taunting me. On the back, we've got the same kind of, basically this a miniature version of the same thing on the back of the gift set. This is also from '94. So let's open this guy up. This also, of course, comes with some limited edition trading cards we can look at. Actually, it's just the one of the Gamorrean himself by George Perez. I mean, kind of cool. Trading cards have never been my thing, but they were definitely trying to provide some added value there. I think this is a very respectable-looking Gamorrean figure, generally speaking. Again, the pose issue is a little bit of a problem, but if you put the hands down like that, that's not so bad. One thing I was curious about before I opened these up was just how well they had weathered the almost 30 years since they were made. I know I have some collectibles and things that have rubber parts that have deteriorated, or even, you know, like computers and things that I've had. A lot of times if they have any kind of rubberized parts, those will start to get sticky over time. These seem just fine. There's no problems as far as I can tell, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm curious to know if anybody here had any of these back in the day and what you thought of them. And if not, or even if so, what do you think of them today, sort of in the context of today's collecting landscape? I doubt you could get away with releasing figures quite like this today, but they are pretty cool, and yeah, I'm glad to finally be able to show them off. Thanks for watching! This video was brought to you with the help of my Patreon supporters, including these Palace VIPs, Angelica Brady and Jesper Murtu. Thanks very much for your support, and if you'd like to help support the channel for as little as $1 a month, you can visit the link in the video description.